wanted to hear how I got into my discipline, and I'm gonna warn you up front. It is not an interesting story, but I will tell you anyways. Ever since I was a kid, I've always known that I love science. I've always been fascinated by it and intrigued by it, and I've always wanted to know more. Growing up, I went through different stages. I would start reading about astronomy, I would switch to marine biology, I would go to cellular biology, eventually chemistry and geology, and I was just very fascinated with every aspect of science. I would learn as much as I possibly could. In about the 10th grade, which was when I was 14 or 15 years old, I was at a bookstore and I found a book on serial killers. This book, actually, and I read it cover to cover and was very fascinated. I am pretty sure my mother was concerned. In these books, there would be talk about the investigation and what was going on during it and where they would submit the evidence, processes that they would go through, and I was fascinated by that aspect of things. So I started doing some research, and I discovered forensic science. When I started college, I was actually going into the biology side of forensics, such as DNA. Then my first and second semester of college, I had Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 2. Loved it, it fascinated me, and so I began looking into other aspects of getting a job in chemistry. I had to work when I was in college because I come from a pretty poor family, so I had to put myself through college. And I got a job in the microbiology/genetics lab, where I would be making different reagents and preparing different labs for the teachers. I did a bunch of research in genetics on the polymerase chain reaction instrument and analyzing the DNA sequence with the 310 ABI analyzer, and they were a pain in the butt. They were very temperamental. I wanted to throw them out the window. It was very frustrating work, but it was amazing, but frustrating. I did and still do love genetics, but I still had this longing for chemistry until I took organic chemistry, in which I fell out of love with chemistry. I decided, no, thank you. It ruined chemistry for me. And there's parts of organic chemistry that I really, really like. As a whole, that class just kind of decimated my love for chemistry. Then I took biochemistry and molecular biology, which were classes that reaffirmed that I wanted to get into the genetics field, because biochemistry and molecular, whoa, they're awesome. Summer before my final semester in college, because I graduated in December. That summer, I did an internship at a toxicology lab in St. Louis, Missouri, and loved it. I was so happy working with the instruments and the different extractions and grinding up livers and brains and everything. It was amazing. I had so much fun. I learned a lot, and I was considering getting into toxicology. I still actually consider, because I really did enjoy it. Then my very last semester of college, I took a class called analytical chemistry, as well as a class called instrumental chemistry, which instrumental was instrumental in my choice for the future. That I had the same teacher in both of those classes, and she was amazing. I fell in love with chemistry all over again. I could spend hours in the laboratory with these instruments and just working on experiments, and the time would fly. And she was a great, great teacher. She was very, very important in my life, and I'm very thankful for everything she did for me. That semester I was also applying for jobs, because, you know, I wanted a job. Applied for DNA positions as well as chemistry positions. I got a couple interviews, and I had an interview with a DNA as well as chemistry, and I went to both interviews. The chemistry interview I fell in love with the people and the lab, and it was just a really great interview, and I could picture myself working there, and I don't think I've ever wanted anything so much in my life. About a month later, I got a call saying I got the job, and I was excited, and I was like, yes, yes, please. And they're like, would you like to think about it? And I was like, no, I've thought about it. This is what I want. And here I am, working as a forensic chemist. Instrumentation in chemistry is really what gets my engine going. So that is why I chose this path. Toxicology actually uses a lot of the same instrumentation, plus a little bit more. I would seriously consider a job in toxicology because it is amazing as well. And that's where I'm at right now. I just started my career, and I guess we will see what the future holds. I'm sorry, that is not a super fascinating story. It's kind of, it's what happened, but boom.